Read a book intensively in 10 minutes. Today we read the famous book, The Kite Runner. This book is the first novel of Afghan-American writer Khaled Hosseini and was published in 2003. It has been on the New York Times bestseller list for 2 years in a row. This book not only tells the Afghan people's complaints about the war and racial and religious issues, but also profoundly reflects the common topics faced by modern mankind about human nature and the salvation of human nature. The story takes place in Kabul, Afghanistan. The protagonist Amir was born in a mansion in a wealthy local community. His father is a powerful, upright, and kind-hearted Pashtun, and he is also a successful wealthy businessman. Amir lost his mother when he was a child, and is a child with a weak body and sensitive personality. He has a playmate, Hassan, who also lost his mother when he was young. Hassan's father, Ali, is a servant of Amir's family. Hassan is a particularly loyal and upright Hazara. He is also Amir's most loyal friend. He only thinks about Master Amir all day long. They grew up drinking the same wet nurse's milk and took their first steps on the same lawn in the same yard. Before the age of 12, Amir spent most of his time playing with Hassan. Despite this, Amir never thought that he and Hassan were friends because Amir was a Pashtun Sunni and Hassan was a Haza. Pull people into the Shia sect. Pashtun are the most populous ethnic group in Afghanistan, and their language is the national language of Afghanistan. The Hazara are an ethnic minority in the mountains of Afghanistan. The two ethnic groups belong to two different sects of Islam. Once upon a time, the Pashtun had been persecuting and exploiting the Hazaras. In the 19th century, the Hazaras tried to resist, but were eventually suppressed by the Pashtun with brutal violence, forcing them to leave their homes until they were liberated later. Amir sometimes gets jealous of Hassan. One time, when Amir was reading to Hassan, he discovered that the illiterate Hassan was better at solving riddles than he was. This made the sensitive Amir stop reading these riddles to Hassan and would even single out Hassan for not understanding. He came to laugh at Hassan's ignorance, but Hassan didn't care. At the same time, this incident also made Amir interested in writing. That night, Amir spent half an hour writing a sad little story. He enthusiastically showed it to his father in Zian, but his father, who admired bravery and strength, was not interested in it and just looked through the smoke. Looking at him made Ahmadin feel pressured. Fortunately, Rahim Khan rescued Amir. Rahim Khan was his father's partner and close friend. He often enlightened the sensitive Amir. Rahim not only read Amir's manuscript, but also wrote a note to encourage and comfort Amir. After Amir read the note, he regained his confidence and woke up the sleepy Hassan to share the story with him. But Hassan, who is quite talented at this, suddenly pointed out the flaw in the plot of the story, which made the young Amir a little angry. He thought, what did Hassan? An illiterate, no? He was only qualified to work in the kitchen all his life. On July 17, 1973, Muhammad Daudhan and others launched a coup to overthrow the monarchy and establish a republic in Afghanistan. The political situation was turbulent for a while, but this had no impact on the two children for the time being. In the wealthy area, there is also a child king named Asef. His father is Afghan and his mother is German. He is tall and notorious. He wears a stainless steel boxing glove and often bullies other children. He is a well-known villain in the neighborhood. He hated the Hazara people very much. On this day, Asef had a conflict with Amir and Hassan. Amir was extremely scared. He had always been a weakling in his father's eyes. The brave Hassan quickly picked up a stone, took out his slingshot and aimed it at Asef's eyes, successfully scaring Asef away. Although Hassan himself was very scared at the time, he pretended to be calm and stood up for Amir. Every winter, kite fighting competitions are held in various districts of Kabul. The rules of the game are simple. Fly your kite and cut your opponent's string. If a kite is cut off, the kite runner will swarm to chase the kite flying in the wind. For kite runners, the biggest reward is to pick up the last dropped kite in the winter competition. It is a supreme honor. It would be hung under the mantle for guests to admire. And Hassan is a good kite picker. In the winter of 1975, the tour was held in Amir's neighborhood. In order to gain more love from his father, Amir is determined to win this game. On the day of the competition, Amir flew his kite hard. After a fierce confrontation, he successfully cut off 11 kites, at the cost of cutting his fingers on the kite strings. As time went on, only Amir's kite and a blue kite remained in the sky. The situation was as tense as the glass string held by Amir's bleeding hand. Eventually, a gust of wind stretched his kite and Amir won the championship. The two teenagers were excited. Amir successfully proved himself. He saw his father standing on the roof, proud of him. But there is a more important thing to do at this moment, which is to catch the second-place kite. Amir shouted, Hassan, bring him back. Hassan understood this clearly, and he flew to the corner of the street, stepping on the snowflakes. He stopped and turned around, put his hands to his mouth and said, "1,000 times for you." Then he smiled and disappeared around the corner. It is a commitment from one child to another that encompasses the most loyal friendship and intense respect. While being congratulated by the people around him, Amir also sent his kite home and then began to look for Hassan. After asking around, he finally met Hassan and Asef, who had found the blue kite in a dead end. The three Asef blocked Hassan and wanted to snatch the kite, but Hassan refused. So, he raped Hassan frantically. All this was seen by Amir, but the cowardly Amir did not come forward. He ran away in fear. He hid aside until Asef and others left before rushing out. At this time, Hassan did not shed tears, but calmly gave him the kite that he held onto. In the end, Amir went home with the trophies. Just as he imagined, he was admired and loved by his father. He finally got what he had dreamed of for many years, but after getting it, he felt very empty. In the days that followed, he was unable to face Hassan, let alone enjoy the father's love he had obtained with lies. He stopped playing with Hassan and even wanted to fire both Hassan and his son. One day at noon, he asked his father if he had ever thought about hiring new servants. His father became furious and said angrily, "Hassan and the others are not going anywhere. This is his home, and we are his family. Don't do that again in the future. Ask questions like this." In this way, the relationship between Amir and his father cooled down again. So Amir did a shameful thing. On the night of his 13th birthday, he secretly stuffed a new watch and money under Hassan's blanket and told his father to frame Hassan for stealing his birthday gift. Hassan seemed to have an insight into everything, perhaps because he did not want Amir to be punished, so he directly admitted the theft. Amir immediately understood that Hassan knew about him, knew that he had seen everything in the alley, knew that he stood there and watched, knowing that he had betrayed him, but he still saved him again. Although Amir's father said that he forgave him for the theft, Hassan's father Ali seemed to have seen through it all and did not expose it. However, Amir's father objected and chose to move to Hazara, where the Hazara people live. Jat Mountains. In this way, their childhood together ended. In 1979, war broke out and the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. In 1981, Amir's father fled with Amir to Peshawar, Pakistan, leaving the family in the care of his good friend Lasinghan. Later, Amir and his son moved to California in the United States. After 2 years of residence, Amir's father is no longer a rich man. He is now a worker at a gas station in the United States. "My father used to have his hands clean of grease paper, but now they are covered with calluses." Although life has become harder, Amir's relationship with his father has become closer because it is a place where the past can be buried and a new life begins. When Amir was about to go to college, his father gave him an old Ford sedan, which moved Amir deeply. The father looked at Amir and said, "It would be great if Hassan was with us today." Upon hearing Hassan's name, Amir's neck seemed to be grabbed by a pair of iron hands. Time flies by. Amir graduates from university and becomes a writer. "Once while visiting the flea market in St. Hessa with my father, I met my sweetheart Soraya. Soraya is also from Afghanistan and is the daughter of General Taheri. He has bright eyes, is a lady, works hard, and treats people well. However, it is said that he once had a man whose reputation was not very good, and no one was willing to go to the general's house to propose marriage." Later, Amir's father was diagnosed with oat cell malignant tumor, which had spread and could not be operated on. When Amir learned about it, he burst into tears and wanted to persuade his father to accept chemotherapy, but his father was unwilling. He even scolded Amir for being 22 years old and an adult, and asked him not to tell others. In the days that followed, they continued to buy and sell at flea markets and often saw the Taheri family. Amir's father's body is also getting thinner. On a cold Sunday morning, Amir's father fell to the ground, his limbs twitching. In the hospital, the doctor told Amir that his father must take medication and chemotherapy, but he still refused. Then Amir seemed to have the courage, and he decided to take a step forward and let his father propose marriage to General Taheri. He likes Soraya, even though this poor and kind girl has an unbearable past. Taheri agreed to the marriage. Soraya also told Amir her secret on the phone. It turned out that Soraya ran away with a drug-addicted man for a month because of her rebellion when she was 18 years old. Soraya bravely told her secret, and although Amir felt that his dignity was hurt, he also had a secret and was not qualified to accuse others of the past. Amir is even a little jealous of him, his secret being revealed and solved by speaking out. Amir opened his mouth and almost told him how he had betrayed Hassan, lied to him, kicked him out of the house, and destroyed the 40-year relationship between his father and Hassan's father. But Amir didn't have the courage to say it. The two subsequently got married. Amir's father died of lung cancer during this period. Amir and Soraya moved to San Francisco. They wanted to have a child but never could. In 2001, Rahim Khan, who was terminally ill, called Amir from Pakistan and asked him to go to Pakistan because Rahim Khan finally told him that there was a way to become a good person again. Amir then went to Pakistan and met Rahim Khan, who was seriously ill. It turns out that after Amir and his son left, Rahim Khan went to Hazarajat to find Hassan and his mother, and they returned to Kabul together to manage the big house of Amir's family. Hassan also has a son named Saurabh. After the Taliban occupied Kabul not long ago, they occupied this house and shot Hassan and his wife to death in the street because of racial discrimination. Saurabh enters the orphanage. Rahim Khan, who knows all the secrets, hopes that Amir will return to Kabul and save Saurabh. Facing the crisis in his hometown, Amir was worried and unwilling. Lassingham then told Amir a shocking secret. Hassan is actually Amir's half-brother. It turns out that Ali is infertile. Amir's father had an affair with Hassan's mother and gave birth to Hassan. From then on, Amir realized that it was precisely because his father had chosen cowardice and deceit that he hated himself so much. Amir understands that he and his father are more similar than imagined. They both betrayed the people who were willing to give their lives for them. Amir then realized that Lassingham had asked him to return to Pakistan not only to wash away his crimes, but also his father's. Amir recalled his father once saying that his problem was that there was always someone standing up for him. In this way, 38-year-old Amir decided to embark on the road of redemption. Afterwards, Amir returned to Taliban-controlled Kabul with the help of taxi driver Farid. After finding the orphanage where Saurabh is located, it is discovered that Saurabh has been taken away by a Taliban leader, and this leader will appear at the football game. Amir made an appointment with the ringleader during a ball game and later met him at his residence. It turns out that the Taliban leader is the perverted Asef. Asef was tortured in the prison of the regime supported by the Soviets, and then joined the Taliban and fought with the Soviet army, becoming a leader. And Saurabh has become a dancing boy. Asef tells Amir that he can take Saurabh away, but he must first deal with some unresolved battles with him. Asef proposed a duel. He put on stainless steel gloves and easily beat Amir, who was unable to fight back. The fists kept coming, and the sound of breaking sounded again and again. Amir was thrown against the wall. Nails pierced his back. His mouth was cracked, his ribs were broken, and there was severe pain in his abdomen. However, Amir smiled. For the first time since that winter, he felt at ease. The long-standing sins had finally been punished. Although he is now in a state of disrepair, his heart ailment is finally healed. Saurabh is indeed Hassan's son. Just when Amir fell to the ground laughing, he took out his inseparable slingshot, blinded Asef's left eye, and took the opportunity to escape with Amir. Later, in Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, Amir was unable to obtain a U.S. visa to adopt Saurabh because he could not prove that Saurabh was an orphan. Saurabh needs to stay in an orphanage temporarily. Out of fear of the orphanage, Saurabh cut his wrists and committed suicide in despair. Fortunately, he was rescued in time and his life was saved. After Amir returned to the United States with Saurabh, Saurabh stopped communicating with anyone because of psychological damage. While Saurabh was silent, the world was in turmoil. After September 11th, the United States bombed Afghanistan, the Northern Alliance took advantage of the situation, and the Taliban fled like rats back to their burrows. Then on a cold, rainy day, Amir took his family to the park for an Afghan gathering. Saurabh is still not good at communicating with people. When it rains or clears, Amir notices that Saurabh has been looking up at the kite in the sky. So Amir bought a yellow kite. He told Saurabh the story of flying a kite with his father Hassan when he was a child, and demonstrated the skill of kite fighting, and successfully cut the opponent's kite string. Time seems to have returned to the winter of 1975, and his father was applauding and cheering him. At this time, Amir saw Saurabh looking at a group of children chasing kites, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Amir asks, "Do you want me to chase that kite for you?" Saurabh made a slight nod. Then Amir said to him, "For you, thousands of times." Amir turned around and chased the kite. Even though he was a grown man, running among a bunch of screaming kids, he didn't care. He chased the wind as it blew across his face, a big smile on his lips. The story is over. This book not only shows the history of the soul of a nation and the history of suffering of a country, but also shows the history of an individual's spiritual growth. Hassan sacrificed his life for Amir, was loyal and upright, and he was willing to do anything for Amir. From friendship and family love to betrayal, colliding in the undercurrent of good and evil. The redemption of human nature is undoubtedly reflected in this novel. As Rashan Han said, "When evil deeds lead to good deeds, that is true redemption." So Amir's father has been doing good deeds throughout his life, building orphanages, helping others, and praying for atonement for his own sins. Amir's father showed indifference and disgust towards Amir because he saw in Amir his own cowardly and deceitful side. To a certain extent, it expresses disgust and regret for the fierceness in his own character. The young Amir just showed his true nature in human nature. For half his life at this moment, he has been haunted by the shadow of guilt and self-blame. When facing his past mistakes, his spiritual guilt and torture have already made him more than halfway on the road to atonement. And the substantial act of atonement made great amends. In the end, Amir has transformed from a selfish and cowardly child into an upright, brave, and responsible man.